What's going on, guys? My name's Sam Johnson. We're back again with another episode of the Scale Labs RC podcast. And today we're going out west. So we have none other than the proud owner of Auburn RC, Rockland, California. He calls home Mr. Kyle Layton. What's going on, Kyle?
Hey, how's it going? Going good.
We are doing good here, man. Thank you for taking the time, and we're excited to have you on, man.
Sure, I appreciate it. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. If people who don't know, you're a very, very accomplished racer in your own right and have done a lot of really great things in the hobby, but one of the coolest things going on right now is you are, like we said in the intro, you're the owner of Auburn RC there in Auburn, California. Tell us about that. Tell us about your track and just kind of bring us up to speed where everything is now.
Yeah, so we actually didn't plan to buy the track. It wasn't something we were wanted to do. It's always been a dream. Everybody has the dream of owning an RC track. I'm still not sure why that is after doing it, but but we my dad and I bought the track. Well, he actually bought the track without me knowing about it. That was a funny story that no one really knows. He bought the track, told me about it a week later, and here we are. But that was back in September, October of 21. And so our lease for the fairgrounds that we're on started in January of 22. I think that's all right. So we're basically on year 5 of running the track right now. And so we ran the oval track only. It was there. It's been there for 10 years. I think this is its 11th year anniversary in July of the oval track existing. So 4 years under our ownership. And so this year we decided with the fairgrounds, we worked a deal to put an off-road track in. That's kind of been the new hype and kind of got the word out more about the track than in the past. With the off-road track going in, it's kind of like the loose dirt, vintage resurrection has been happening. And the timing kind of worked out perfect for us. So that's been we opened that on Valentine's Day weekend, actually. So February 14th was our opening race day on that, actually. And we started the build only in December. So it was 2 months, start to finish, from when the dirt got delivered until our first race happened, almost 2 months exactly. And so, yeah, now we're racing on it, and it's been awesome. And we had good turnouts. People are loving it. And we've gotten a wide variety of racers there, new guys, old racers come to the track and enjoy it. So everyone's loving it. And it's been good so far.
Absolutely. So rewind a little bit. Tell us a story about your dad buying it without you even knowing. That is crazy. That is badass. What a present, right? But that is so cool too. So tell us about that.
Yes, we were actually up at the track it was called Hillside RC up in Georgetown. It was a little bit up the hill from where Auburn is. And we were racing in actually a guy's backyard track, and he actually passed away a couple of years ago. And we actually hosted his memorial race at our track. And so anyways, we were up there racing, and our good friends, Mike and Heather, who were over racing with us at the time, because I raced at Auburn for a year before we bought it. And so I was up at the Hillside racing, and I guess my dad talked to him, and the owners talked to them, and it was for sale. And he's like, well, let's buy it. So he bought it, and I didn't know about it for a week. And one night he's like, all right, we gotta go pick up some stuff. And met the old owner to go pick up the timing system and stuff from his house. And that's when I found out that we bought the track. I didn't even know about it for a week. And so now, that's all I really know about the story, actually, because he doesn't even, I don't know any of the details. I just know we ended up with it. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, it's still up in the air, but it's good. It's good. I just, it has its ups and downs. So
sure. With that being said, tell us about the ups, but tell us about some of the downs too, about what maybe somebody who has never even thought about owning an RC track or anything like that, tell us some of the things that maybe get missed or maybe not thought about. So when the next time somebody goes to a track, maybe they'll be a little bit easier on the owners.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at. We have a lot of people come to the track now. We had 98 entries last weekend for an off-road race. We've been averaging in the 70s for oval. I think our worst weekend so far on the off-road track was in the 50s. So we're definitely getting people come through there. And it's a lot of times people don't realize the amount of work that goes on when we're not open. When we're open, I'm running around all the time, track prep and keeping things clean and helping customers and selling stuff in our shop, because we have a pro shop on site now too. So we have tires, wheels, parts, associated, custom works, J concepts, velocity, all that stuff's in stock. But it's it's all the work that happens away from the track, or when the track's closed, that is the stuff no one sees. We're up there in the rain making sure that, because we tarp our track so nothing gets wet, and it saves us from having to rebuilds more often because it saves the erosion and all that. So we're up there in the rain. I've been up there midnight, 2:00 in the morning. When I see it on security cameras, the tarp blows off the track. So I go up there in the big old downpour rain, and we're up there fixing it, because if we don't do that, we're not racing that weekend. And then guys are like, oh, why aren't we racing? It's not raining today. Well, yeah, because it rained 3 days before and the track flooded out. That's why we're not going to race. They don't realize that. So that, just, clean up garbage and, just stupid stuff that people should be aware of and helpful and respectful, but they just aren't, I guess. Not all of them. There's some awesome people, like, but like I've been saying recently, like it takes one person to ruin a good thing, and that's basically how it works out. So if you're at the track, it's just clean up after yourself. Think about what you're doing before you do it. Respect the facility, respect everything, because most people, I don't. There's probably very few track owners that are making money, like making money. I'm sure their tracks are some are profiting, some are probably breaking even, so they're doing it at a level of the sport. And even if they are making money, it's not going to be much. I'm pretty sure they can make more money doing something else. Like, I mean, there's probably a few exceptions to that rule, but I would assume that there's, a lot of it wears on you after a while, and we do it because we like it. That's why we keep doing it. We want to have a good place to race and provide good racing for the community and have good tracks and have good events and bring the big events out west. And that's how we do it. I don't do it to make millions of dollars. And, as long as the track's making money and I can make sure that I'm taking care of a little bit, I'm happy.
Sure. And that's, I think a lot of people forget, me as somebody who is just, a racer, and I don't have near the skin in the game like you do, obviously, right? But man, like, people don't understand how good they've got it sometimes until it's gone,
Yeah.
and by the time it's gone, it's too late, right? So
It is, yeah.
it definitely, for everybody listening, I mean, listen to what Kyle's saying here, because it's just the little things, right? Like,
hmm
it takes nothing to do what you said would be an incredible help.
Yeah, if everybody just did their little part, it'd be, piece of cake.
Yeah. So outside of that, now let's brighten it back up a little bit. Tell us
Okay.
about some of the things that people may not know or understand, or even realize. Like, what are some of the awesome things about owning a track that might not be right on the surface?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's like satisfaction, like some days like people like, why aren't you racing? I'm like, well, I'm up here all the time, and to me it's not like a special place to go. Like I'm there, 5 days a week probably. But it's cool to see the kids especially enjoying and helping people out and watching people enjoy the facility that we put so much time into, especially the off-road track. That was like a 2 month spell of, craziness. Like we worked every day up there that we could, for 2 months straight, sun up to sundown. And it's just nice to see the facility be enjoyed and be, people having fun, and we have good racing and just watching it all happen. I enjoy that, you know? Um, the other thing is I like to have good events. I like to have big events and good racing. I like club racing and all that. Like that's awesome. But I like to have like that yearly, like big bang go off. And I like to have that, the hype and everybody gets excited. And I think it's really enjoyable for everybody and myself included.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And when you have a big race day, are you able to race yourself, or are you running everything to where you don't typically race when you have an event at your track?
Yeah, it kind of depends. Like for our big events, I try to race like the J Concepts race on the oval. I've raced every year. But like we have an announcer, like usually like Brian Crum, one of our good announcers comes, or Nate Henry comes, and they do awesome jobs. So I can kind of hands off the announcing and race directing. I can help in the shop and stuff and have an awesome track crew. Like also anyone that's been to our track, like our track's super nice, the facility's nice, everything's clean, but it's not just me. My dad does a lot of work there. We have an awesome track crew, and they're there whenever I call them. They show up and help. And we have guys that help me in the shop. When during races they can go there and bring people up. And it's just awesome to have other people there that I can like kind of count on. And I feel bad sometimes because I'm like, oh hey, can you go do that? Can you do that? And I'm like pointing fingers, but like they're an employee, but they're not, but they're just there to help and enjoy the facility same as us. So it's very helpful. So I try to not race on club races. I try to just kind of hang out and help people and kind of I enjoy that. I'll usually practice and run afterwards or, on practice days. But racing, I try to get my racing in when I feel like it. It's kind of hard. You get busy, but
Sure.
Yeah.
So, as an experienced racer, obviously you've been on a plethora of different surfaces in your
Yep.
time in RC, and you and I were talking before. You've got over 15 years of experience in the hobby, and not all of that necessarily is racing, but most of that's racing, right? So,
Yep.
you guys with the oval was there, has been there for a while now, as you said, but it is a high bite oval
Yeah.
or a hard packed oval. So, is that a conscious decision? Could you ever see the track being, could you ever tilt the track up and make it loose dirt, or is that even possible, or what's kind of the mindset behind being high bite like that?
Yeah. So I raced at that track, it's kind of a controversy up here, like the high bite versus the loose dirt and the tire wear thing. And it's always been a talk. And Auburn's pretty famous for being a fast big oval. Like that's what it's known for up here is being a fast, big oval. And we took over the track, and it was just for reference. Like the track size hasn't changed in a couple years now. We did when we put the turf in our track, and it was, I think 2 years ago. I moved the center infield in a couple of feet to make the lanes wider because the outside walls really couldn't be moved the way that it's built. But anyways, I raced the track like a year before we bought it, and the lap times were in mod like 4.7, 4.8. That was a fast lap. And now, like at this day, like at the JC race last year in July, we saw a 3.9, and it was almost a second, 0.8 of a second faster on a hot lap. And it's just evolved over the years. I don't have a good answer for it except for I think track prep. Like we learned a lot over the years of prepping the dirt and how to work it, and it started off being like, oh, let's rip it up every day and we'll water it, let it groove in, and then it kind of evolved to like, well, it gets better and better the more we run on it. So now it just is we keep it hard packed, and like I maintenance it every week, almost every other week. We do something to it and water it and re-roll it with the golf carts and stuff. But it's just one of those things where like we could try to make it loose dirt, but then it's always going to go high bite. Like I haven't seen a track in a long time that ever starts loose dirt and ends loose dirt. Like it just doesn't happen anymore. The way the cars and the tires and stuff are, it's just not going to happen. Even look at Chili Bowl. That's like the probably quote unquote the worst dirt for an RC track. It's just fluffy. It doesn't hold together. It's dusty dirt. We ran on slicks on that stuff at the invite last year. Like that was after 8 races. So I think it's for us, it was a call of what's more consistent, what's better for the racers, what's easier for the racers to figure out and for us to maintain. It's a lot of work to go up there and keep watering a track. When it gets hot outside, here it's 110 degrees. I'm not going to keep watering. There's no way. So that's kind of where we're at. It works. People like it. People know what they get when they come to Auburn. Even JB came out last year. He's like, yep, I know what to bring next year. Just bring slicks and we're good to go. It's like, it's easy. Tire wear is not as bad as people say it is. I mean, that's always the critique of the track. A Smoothie 2 lasts a few runs. A DE Phenom lasts a day in mod. So I feel like a set of tires a day is not terrible, especially when you figure, like the whole loose dirt thing. I like loose dirt oval a lot. Like I've ran out there, I went at PTs, I went to BB mods. That was awesome, fun race, and a lot of fun. But I still had to go through a set of tires, every few runs because you had to have a different pin height or a different foam prep or different sauce prep or whatever. So you're still going through tires in my eyes. I could be wrong. People can argue about it. But, Chili Bowl, look at Chili Bowl. We're one run tires at Chili Bowl on pins, So we can run one run tires at Auburn on slicks and be, same difference, right?
Sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's any way you cut it, the conversation, I mean, it's purely personal preference, and it's 6 one way, half dozen another, quite literally any way you go. So, yeah, no, I agree. And I just, being from the Midwest and kind of the Midwest East, if you will, now being over here near Indianapolis, it's, obviously loose dirt is kind of our jam over here. So I always love the contradiction's not even the right word, but the contrast, if you will, between when guys are high bite versus loose dirt. And it's just because I love the idea of just throwing slicks on and having a smooth, consistent surface too. Just as much as I like the loose dirt stuff.
It's nice. I feel like people get used to what they have though. Like you're used to prepping tires and I'm used to not, But all of our tracks out here too, we don't have a loose dirt track. I mean, we have, Delta RC is 2 hours from our place. It's wet track in the wintertime, high bite, and then medium high bite, and then summertime they seal it. So that's just like our track, it's high bite. And then A-Main has their oval, which is small, covered, and it's loose dirt, quote unquote. But our last few races I've been to there, we end up on a ghosted tire. It grooves in because it's hard packed. So any other track around here too is high bite. So I feel like it's just easier for the racer too to have one car, because a high bite car, like you're not bringing your looster car to our track and to go fast on it. You got to have a different car, different setup, different chassis for the oval stuff. So I think it's just easier in our situation just to be high bite.
Sure. So that just completely impromptu, but one of the things you just said there really made me think, and I'd love your opinion on it. As somebody who's done off-road and oval both, obviously if you are a guy in off-road where you're going to go and run carpet and you're going to go run dirt, 2 chassis, everything, that's kind of the known now, right? But for the most part, do you feel personally that is that kind of why I mean, look at like, so Team GFRP, for example, that's just what I run. That's the only reason I'm using the example. For a rubber tire sprint car, you now have 3 different options of car, and a genuine argument of why you need to have all 3 for different scenarios. Where when you're running off-road, you can go and you have basically one car, and that car can adjust to any type, if it's a, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So do you think that is it of your opinion, at least, do you feel where is that maybe why oval hasn't quite caught up to off-road yet as far as the head count nationally, is because you have to have so much more for oval than you do off-road?
Yeah. I mean, that could be part of it. Yeah. I mean, you definitely, like, we have a shop at the track, so it's, I sell cars and stuff there. And it's hard when people come, like, now we have 2 tracks, right? So I might be going off your question here, but I have 2 different tracks, so off-road, oval. And so someone comes in, they see the oval track first, they walk by to get to the shop, and they're like, I want to get a car. Okay, how much? I want that Sprint car. How much does that cost? Well, it's hard. It's a hard sale when you got to tell them the price of the kit and then, all the stuff to go with it. You're looking at over $1,000 easy, like right off the bat, like done. A car kit, it's, what are they, like $600-700 now for a
$650,
an oval car?
$675.
Yeah, I guess the going rate. B7's $400, And that car that you buy for $400 can do everything. Like, people say, oh, dirt car, carpet car. Well, only difference is a ball diff and sway bars, or gear diff, ball diff, sway bar combination. There's nothing else different in the kit. Okay, springs maybe different, but like, you're going to buy different springs anyways. You're not going to run the kit springs your whole life. So yeah, I don't even know if that issue right off the bat gets in their head because they don't, the initial cost of the kit is just so much, I mean, granted, the cars are probably more, like, I call ovals like my on-road, because like the oval car is a lot more intricate than like an off-road car is as far as tuning goes. But I mean, definitely the fact of the whole different car thing is not an easy thing for guys that want to travel, So that could be where guys are maybe just staying more locally and you don't see a lot of traveling, like coast to coast. Maybe that could be part of it, because like off-road guys are all over the place. Like I've been over the whole country to go race, but for oval, I kind of go, like with velocity, I kind of go wherever they go because they're there to help me and guide me, So I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. The chassis definitely would be a turnoff for guys traveling, or different cars, I guess. I'm not too familiar with all of the like GFRP and customers cars though, like the differences in like their Bullet and their Outlaw or whatever, I don't know all the differences exactly, but yeah, I mean, definitely could be a factor.
And then you throw foam tire into the equation. But yeah, man, like somebody who wants to race as much as possible, because I always look at it, and you can definitely correct me if I'm wrong here about, the track ownership side. And I don't ever want to say easier is not what I'm trying to say, but maybe simpler. I've always looked at it as the off-road side of things. The racer has it easier than the track owner, where and the oval side, again, not easier is not what I'm trying to say, but it's a little bit simpler for the track owner and significantly more difficult for the racer. So I think that's why there's always this like stark contrast. It's not even Chevy versus Ford. It's more like, I don't know, it's like a terrible analogy, but it's like a vegetarian and a carnivore diet. It's like it's so just starkly different.
Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a different world, off-road to oval. Like, it's definitely a whole different thing.
And I get so surprised, like the crossover there's not nearly as much crossover as I would think there would be in today's world, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, we've had a lot of people come through our track. I just speak from what I see, like at Auburn, but I would have expected a lot more of the off-road guys, since they're coming to the track now, to like want to get into oval racing, but we haven't really seen it a whole lot yet, which is fine. Like, that's cool. But I would have guessed like we would have seen like more guys like, oh, I gotta, B6, I get a conversion car and come play, but I don't know. I guess they just don't want to get out of their off-road world or oval to off-road. It's just a whole different deal.
And so kind of one of the unsung heroes as well that I want to talk about is you've alluded to a couple of times, you have a pro shop there at Auburn. So I think that is something that doesn't get talked about enough. Number one, the luxury that gives to the racer.
Oh yeah.
But number two, again, lack of a better term, but the risk that's on your shoulders of having to, I mean, that is what a significant investment that has to be made to carry all that. And I don't think that soaks in with people. And again, you don't realize what you had until you don't have it as a racer and as a buyer. But tell us a little bit about that and what it really takes to have a successful pro shop even at the track.
Yeah, it's not easy. Like, we've always had Well, I'll just take a step back. So we opened the track up under our name, Auburn RC, changed the name and stuff, and then we didn't have anything there at all for like probably a year and a half. Like we just only ran the track off of entry fees, and it was basically impossible. Like it was, so you get 20 guys at $20 a head or $30 a head. It's what, $500 or whatever for the weekend, $600 for the weekend on a race day. Well, your bills aren't going to get paid off of that alone. There's no way. And so then, I'm good with J Concepts and A Main, and I know all the people. So I reached out to him and said, hey, like I want to do a little small shop. So I got all my licenses and got legitimized. I brought in, like we had a little shed there on the side of behind the driver's stand. I brought in tires, wheels, glue, simple stuff, right? Like only J Concept stuff for a while. Then he evolved to custom works and, bodies and wings and stuff like that. But it was only like the essentials, like bare essentials, like tires. Like that was the only thing I had for a long time. And I literally had 16 feet of pegboard is all I had. Like, so 4 sheets of pegboard. And that 4 sheets of pegboard definitely supported the track more than anyone could ever guess. Like, you sell a set of tires to make your percentage on it. And that money you make is, yours to use for the track. So anything extra helps. Now we're in the, a couple years later, we brought in a 40-foot container, and my dad and I are contractors for a living. So we studded it out, insulated it, sheetrocked it, put an AC in it. So we have a legitimate storefront now. And, I brought in about 10 grand worth of inventory to start with when we opened the track. So opening day, we had about 10 grand in there, and it did not look like it. Like people were like, are you going to bring more stuff in? I'm like, well, this is $10,000. Like it didn't look like it. Like the tire wall was pretty lame looking. And I mean, it looked nice, but you definitely wouldn't have guessed that there was that much money in there. And so people just don't realize how much it all costs. You want to stock a J Concept Sprinter, right? Well, there's 2 different compounds of stock. There's a front and a rear. So you have to stock enough of each one to sustain the racers for that day, basically. You have to stock, a dozen sets or 20 sets of tires of everything that guys are kind of wanting just in tires, And then you'd have glue and wheels, and guys want yellow, some guys want white, and then guys want black, and it's like, okay, well, I got to stock all that stuff too. But Eric Basudin owns NorCal Hobbies in San Jose, and he owns Team Powers USA, who I'm a driver for. And he's helped me out a lot with guidance on this whole thing. And he always told me, like, once the inventory comes in, your money's dead until it sells. And it's true, because once I bring in $10,000 worth, my $10,000 is sitting there in a pile until somebody buys it. And that's kind of the thing. People are like, why don't you stock this? Why don't you stock that? I'm like, well, you might want one now, but it's going to sit there. The next one might sit there for 6 months. And then, so it's definitely a tough struggle, you got to juggle the inventory and the money and what moves and what doesn't. So like we've been doing really well, though, I will say. I'm a racer, so I know what guys want. I'm trying not to stock a bunch of like bling parts or anything. I'm stocking breakables, consumables, glue, tire bands, tire sauce, tires, wheels, car kits, electronics, batteries, charge cables. But it's definitely
stuff that moves.
Yeah, stuff that moves, because we have to keep it moving. I don't need a shop to look pretty. I don't want people to be able to have what they need. I don't need to have a nice Facebook picture and say, "Oh, look what I got! I got this fancy shop." Like, we're not about that. I want to have the essentials. I want to have people when they come to the track and say, "I need tires to race today." Okay, I got plenty. I want to be that shop. That's why we're calling it a pro shop, not like a hobby shop, because I don't want to stock toys and games and paint and maybe eventually we'll grow to that, but not right now.
You're not a hobby town yet.
No, not yet.
Have you, with your off-road endeavors, well, they have an oval too, but have you had a chance to come over to Hoosier Hobbyplex?
I have not.
So anybody who's listening, I implore you to go and look up Hoosier Hobbyplex, even online. They're in southern Indiana. But to roll this conversation, like when you're talking about what $10,000 is, and it looks like almost nothing on your wall, and it's like, what the hell is going on? I walk into Hoosier Hobbyplex to race, and same idea, but they have obviously everything for oval and off-road as well. But they have, it has to be probably 10,000 square feet of just hobby shop. And the amount of what I would call toys is very little. It is like a racer's paradise to go in there. There is no possible way, especially with just getting the small gauge of what you're saying of what 10 grand is or what that looks like. There is no possible way they don't have $500,000 or more. I really want to say $1 million, but I don't want to talk over my skis, but a $500,000 to $1 million just in inventory at any given time. And I don't know how they stomach it. It is just it is insanity to me what they have. I mean, I'm so thankful for it, right? And I'm thinking
Yeah.
all racers are thankful for it, but holy smokes, it's intimidating as a consumer to walk in there because there's just so much.
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, our little shop space, like we have a 40-foot container and half of it's the shop, so it's only a 7 by 20. Like that's the shop space, and it's not even like we've been open for 2 months now. We've been selling a lot of stuff though, but like I can't. It's to fill that even would be for us like on our scale, the amount of people that we have and the racing we do. Like it's gonna be a while before that's definitely overgrown. You know,
Right.
I think at a certain
Yeah.
point, you just level it off and you just keep it rolling. You don't need to grow any bigger once you have everything you need.
Yeah. Your track's going to continue to be good on X tire. It's
Yeah.
not like all of a sudden we're going to have dirt webs and then all of a sudden we're going to need to be on I'm being facetious with the names, but so it's just, it's interesting.
Well, the off-road track's been changing like since we opened it. Like the dirt's been, we're outdoors, so like wintertime when the track got built, it was rainy, and now we had like almost 90-degree weather last weekend for racing. It was like 87, 90 degrees, and the track blue grooved, so like tires were different. So we're kind of going through that transition right now of winter to summer or winter to spring, whatever you want to call it. So the stocking of tires, I'm like trying to keep tires in stock, but it's like I don't want to bring in 40 sets of green double Ds or green sprinters, and then now we're going to be on a blue or aqua or even like an ellipse or something, because then I'm stuck with it till the next year.
Until the next track change or the next cycle of weather.
Right. So people don't understand. I mean, some people get it, but the majority probably don't,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cool. Well, yeah. Well, so one of the things I know we've talked about Auburn, and Auburn's the main thing that I want to hit on with you all here. But another thing that I do want to talk about is you've been incredibly successful personally as a racer, specifically, but not limited to what a run you had this year at the Chili Bowl.
Yeah, it was. That was definitely probably one of my best races I've had in a while. So I took over the track. I haven't raced a whole lot. Like I've been to some like local, regional big races like down south, and I haven't really done a whole lot of racing besides oval racing. So yeah, the Chili Bowl, now that it's an invite open format, it's different. I mean, that's a whole different topic to go over is whether I like that or not. But it's an awesome race. Everyone should go one time. Like it's just a great, everything about it's great. The racing for me was awesome this year. As you know, I ran for Team Velocity, so we ran the new car this year again. And I was in the invite class, and so I ran late model and sprint car. And I prepped. I tried to do as best I could this year. Last year, I didn't prep enough. I didn't feel like I learned a lot last year on the invite stuff, the way the format and stuff worked, and how the racing worked, and the strategy with the points, all that stuff. But last year, we were on slicks in invite. Basically, we ran blue sprinters onto a slick in every run. This year was definitely different. I will say that this year, I took down Doug with me, Doug Luriviere. And he was my like pit guy for the week. So he worked on all my stuff. He didn't even race. He just helped me out. And so without him, it wouldn't have been possible. I will say that. That was a lot off my shoulders for the tire prep and the car, car prep and everything. It was like a nice tag team effort. But I definitely prepped more. I ran at our track quite a bit. I ran a late model in the sprint car. And then I went to A-Main a couple times with the new late model, new sprint car. And everything went well there. And I felt confident. And we went there and we kind of had a game plan. And Doug and I are both off-road racers with good success. So we approached it differently than other people did. Like if you look at my practice at Chili Bowl this year, it wasn't like impressive at all. We were actually off pace and it was like kind of frustrating at times. And it was kind of like one of those moments where like, we're here for a week, so we're stuck here. So we have to figure it out. You couldn't just give up, on day one. We felt like it, honestly, like it was not a fun first couple of days there, but we figured out some stuff with the car and we went out there for our first qualifier and late model and it was decent. And so we just built and built and built. And I think late model, I think I finished like 5th overall in like the late model portion. I don't remember exactly what I finished, but I felt like we were like an adjustment behind the whole week. It wasn't real easy going late model. There's so much body stuff and car stuff that I didn't know about. And then Doug's an off-road guy, so he didn't know about it. So we kind of learned it together. And luckily the Velocity team was there to help us out. And that was awesome. Chris came down for a day. I think on the last late model day is when he came. And then Rippy was there, obviously, and the whole team. And it was awesome to have help from them. And then when sprint car got going, that was our class because, last year I think I finished 3rd in sprint car. And I got 5th overall last year, or 7th overall. I don't remember. My trophy's up there. Yeah, 7th last year overall. So I think I was 5th in sprint car last year. But sprint car is always my class. I don't race late model except for Chili Bowl. Basically, we don't have the classic here that often. So sprint car was good. And right off the bat, my car was good. Like we had the tires right. We had everything figured out. JC's, I run for J Concepts. So the tire prep was a lot easier than running on the GFRP stuff. and more familiar. And the VS2, we've had a lot of time on that car now, and we learned a lot of stuff over the years. Well, the year we've had it. It was just everything went well in sprint car. The racing was good. I was driving good. The mechanicking was good. Like everything worked good. Nothing was bad. We ended up winning the sprint car portion of the event this year. So that was pretty awesome. Even though there's no trophy for it, I'm still super, super pumped on how that turned out. It was like, I go to all these races and it's like, if you finish second, third all the time, it's like, okay, cool. But it was cool to like get, be at the top spot again somewhere. And it was good.
So I have to ask, during Chili Bowl, that like you said, you're locked in there for a week. How many Dr. Peppers were consumed
A lot.
during? You're obviously a Dr. Pepper fanatic. So how many?
It's on
how
my
many?
car.
Right. So how many over under Dr. Peppers do we think was consumed during?
Oh man,
Chili Bowl?
that's a big number. I don't even know. It was a lot. That's how we got through the weekend. Like it was Dr. Pepper all the way. Without
Nice.
that, I can't make the Chili Bowl. That's the longest race I've ever been to. Like people like asking like, "Oh my gosh, how's that race?" I'm like, "It's awesome, but it's long." And I said, "It's the most stressful. It's the craziest race you're gonna go to." I know there's other races that are probably crazy, like Psycho Nitro Blast or something, but the Chili Bowl is a long, grueling weekend because it's oval racing, and oval racing is like intense. I mean, I've raced everything off road, 8 scale, 10 scale, dirt, carpet, nitro, electric, everything. And oval racing is by far the most intense race to race. Like there's just no doubt about it. And the fact, like an invite, we're so close to everybody. Open class is competitive, but the way they do the seeding, you're like, you got your TQ or your top seed in the race, and you got the last place in the race. So if you're one of the fast guys, you're basically, it's your race to lose in a sense. You know what I mean? Not to sound bad, but that's just the way that it is. But an invite, you go out there and you got 7 or 8 guys in your race, and any one of them could win. So it's they run 6 rounds in each car this year, so that's 12 races where you have to be perfect. Everything, your shocks got to be perfect, your tires are perfect, the car is perfect, everything's gonna be perfect. And if it's not, you're not going to win. And so it's just a crazy long race. So yes, lots of DPs were consumed by me and the whole team. I think we just kept bringing cases in the pits, and yeah, it worked.
Perfect. Well, no secret, you've had extreme success at that event. Arguably one of the hardest events to have success at. So what do you think? Why is that? What does it take? And you're not the only guy who's had a lot of success there, but you are one of the guys that is consistently good there. So what do you think it takes to be one of those guys? And share, how can we help people understand really what it takes to be that guy?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I've raced a long time. I've been to a lot of tracks. I've seen a lot of dirt. Like you can watch the dirt. You can just watch cars after a while and see what they're doing. And you can go read the track and watch your teammates' cars. All that stuff makes a difference into how you prepare your car for your race. That race, Chili Bowl specifically, is one of the races where you get the least amount of track time. You're not going to go out there and be able to get, 10 packs of practice. And some guys, you go look at your like local race, you want to get a new layout in, new track change. A lot of guys aren't fast right off the bat. Or if guys go to a new track for an event, it takes them all of the whole practice to get the speed. And you just can't have that at Chili Bowl, So that's where I've always excelled at. I've never been the fastest guy on the track, like in off-road even. Like I was always just a consistent, kind of like a Dustin Evans, right? Like that's who I was always compared to, like Dustin Evans or like BT. We're just consistent, smooth drivers. And so I think there's something to that where I don't get real excited about like not being the hot lap guy. I know I can put a clean run in. And I think that's an important part of Chili Bowl is like to survive the race. But the Chili Bowl is just, like I said, it's just, you don't get a lot of track time. You have to go off your experience. And a lot of guys don't focus on the right things, I think, for the Chili Bowl. Like there's a lot of things that are more important than others. Like I've learned, like Doug and I were joking, like we didn't change my sprint car a whole lot. Like the actual car itself, like we made some changes to it, but it wasn't like every run, change this ball set or change this spring or change that. It was like 90% tire. And you get the tire right, and the car's going to go on the track. And if the car goes on the track, you can have a clean run, you can win the race. So the focus, I guess, is not to be all sporadic and worry about this piece over here and this piece over here. It's got to be, one thing at a time and figure out, like, prioritize what you're looking at. Like for us, it's tires. And our electronics, we're off-road guys, so electronics are important for us. Getting the motor feel right and the slipper set right. And like I think I ran a slipper in my car. I think a lot of guys do now. But we were teaching guys how to set slippers, like how we set off-road slippers. That's what we did our slipper in our sprint car, and it made a difference. Like we were doing trackside adjusting with my slipper clutch in pit lane at Chili Bowl. A lot of guys don't ever think to do that, but it helped me and helped it helped our program a lot. Just stuff like that. Like we approach things differently than other oval racers do, and I think that's a good thing. And that's kind of what separated us this year from the other guys because we had speed early and it in sprint car especially, and it was consistent the whole weekend. We didn't like have a aha moment and like gain speed and then drop off again. It was like the whole pace the weekend was like consistent. We never really had the breakaway run where we like lapped the field by 2 or 3 laps, but we had a fast car all week and then it just worked out.
I think it is so incredibly important to have, and I'm not saying this just because you're a guest on the show and all that, but I think it's so important to have somebody and guys like you involved with the Chili Bowl and involved in Dirt Oval because you do bring such a unique perspective. I think it's so easy for a lot of guys who only do oval to have what's the term, gold colored glasses or whatever, where you're only looking through life at one lens, where you can come in and bring an entirely different perspective. I think that is so just vital to the health of the hobby as a whole. So I think that's great for sure.
It's been cool too, having like being part of the VS2 and the velocity development. Like as an off-road guy, I call myself off-road guy. I'm both now, but we adapt differently than like, we can make things work or we look at things differently than like the oval guys do. And then even like, Chris and Rod at Velocity, like they're off-road guys, they started in off-road. So like the car was, I don't want to say it's designed that way, but it's got, off-road type features on it. It still uses the, rear end similarities and the transmission and stuff. Like it's all kind of similar to what I'm used to. So that also helps. I don't know a lot about the other cars, but, just being around that makes us feel kind of like at home in a sense, And so, but I will say, like, we showed up to Chili Bowl this year with my stuff ready to go. I didn't work on, we brought it, we were running prototype cars, so they've been used before. They're not brand new, but we put a lot of work into them before we went there. So our time at Chili Bowl was prioritized with like event necessary stuff, right? So I wasn't at the track rebuilding, differentials or rebuilding transmissions or, my time at the track was spent on like shocks, making sure my wings and stuff were right, and then tires. That was the biggest thing. Like I went there with stuff ready. I didn't go there and like, oh my gosh, I got to go build a ball diff now or take my gear diff out from my track. I went there with stuff prepared. So my time there was utilized properly. And I think that's important. I see a lot of guys come, even to our track, they'll come for a club race and the first thing they do is tear their car apart. It's like, you didn't do it at home? Like we have an hour of practice and you're over here rebuilding your transmission. Like that's an at-home project.
And I think one of the other really big things that, and again, one person's opinion and all that, but I really, from stepping back and doing like a 30,000 foot view on everything, I really feel like the guys who come over to oval from the off-road side, you guys don't need a perfect car to be successful, to where a lot of the oval specific guys, I mean, there's guys here that, I mean, they are the fastest thing that you've ever seen in your life. But man, one thing changes or one thing goes awry or they get caught up in one thing and they are screwed. Like that car, if that car is not perfection, they might as well not even set the car down. And I think that is just so, it's fascinating to me. It's like, man, how do we get to where we're so dependent on perfection to where the driving is secondary? And as you said, like dirt oval specifically or oval racing specifically is so intense.
It is.
It's like all the time though, for everybody, it's like driving is so secondary to the car. And I don't get that about our hobby.
I wonder if it almost to me seems like the oval, like this might sound bad, but like to me, oval driving is easy, right? Like to go around the track is easy. Anyone can do it. But to do it properly and quickly, to be fast is not easy. So that's the thing where people like, I don't even like the oval only, the guys that only race oval, maybe they just don't know what like driving out of their element feels like, because they're not really sure what else there is besides that. Like in my new off-road track, like it's loose sometimes. So like you got to counter steer, hit the brakes to turn. Like it's a whole, you have to jump sideways, you got to correct it in the air and land straight. Like it's a whole different driving thing to it. And when I actually go from racing off-road to oval, like if I haven't driven oval in a while, I'll find myself like doing weird steering stuff and not being smooth because like I'm trying to like, I'm expecting the car to not be right. You know what I mean? And like I'll find myself not driving the way I should for oval. And so I think maybe it's just a different driving style or expectation that, we just pick it up quicker. I don't know. Like we just have the experience to pick it up quicker, I should say. I came out there to PTs. No, I think it was BB mods. And there were some fast people that I didn't even know who they were. Like they were, beating me, and watch them drive like their stuff's just like on rails, but then they do a few laps and they like spin out or something, and it's like I'm just here doing laps, lap after lap. So I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Like for me personally, and I'm far from God's gift to RC car driving, but when I go and run off road, a lot of times, and then I go back to oval, I find the first thing that I find myself wanting to do is hit the brakes.
Yep.
I want to be in the brakes, where when I'm running oval for an extended period of time, I'm only running oval. Like I could turn the brakes off on my car and it would affect me in no way. So
right. Same here.
I definitely get what you're saying about, it definitely takes a minute to turn your mind on and off and move it over to where it needs to be, for sure.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like when I go back and forth, I come back to the other one better than I was before. Like if I go from like Chili Bowl back to off-road, like when I go back to off-road for the first time, I'm like, for some reason, I just have like my oval driving kind of moves over there, and then like I'm a little bit smoother than I was last time. So maybe that helps. Like when I go from off road to oval, I'm more aggressive or something for a little bit. I don't know, but something could be crossing over to where like the guys that don't do both, they just kind of maybe get stuck in a rut, so to speak. Not that it's bad, just that's just the way that they're driving, so their setup's more dependent. But I drive a lot of cars at our track. Like guys like, here, drive my car, and I'm like, it feels fine, but like they can't drive it. But I think I'm just over driving the car's issues. You know what I mean? Like I can still drop a lap time within a couple tenths of my own car. It's just, it's not perfect. I'm like, yeah, it feels fine because I'm, a little counter steer a little bit, throttle blip in the corner and it gets through it. But I don't notice that I'm doing it. It just happens naturally.
Yeah, absolutely. In today's day and age, what do you feel like RC racing as a hobby, as a sport, whatever we want to call it? What do you think what do we need to take it to the next level? In the same question, what is that next level in your mind? Like, what is the next level for our sport, our hobby, in your opinion?
The next level, everyone always talks about, being on TV or whatever. I don't know if we're ever going to be that. Like, I know they've tried it. I don't think that's the move. I think the next level would be having it more readily available for people, like kids, and maybe like with schools or clubs or groups or something where it's more accessible. Like, I don't want to say field trip, but I'm thinking like, advertise it as like something to do for the family or, together. I don't know, something like that. Or like more corporate event kind of stuff. I don't know if it's ever going to be like a TV watchable. I think it's too confusing for people until we change the format or make it more, even like Chili Bowl is confusing for people to understand how the qualifying works and all that stuff. I just think it's not going to get there. But I think, I would like to see as a track owner more club racing. I think the club racing scene needs to come back. I think that would help out. We have a lot of tracks, and I think people need to appreciate the tracks. And I will say to anyone watching that the best way you can thank your track is to go club race at it. Because that's the day when, bottom line of the track has to make money. And that's the day that the track makes the most money, is on club days. When there's no other overhead, no trophies to buy, there's no events to help pay the sponsorships for or anything like that. And that's the biggest help for the track. So I think if club racing comes back and the tracks can, make a little more money, maybe not, maybe, hopefully, that, we can make this more accessible because the tracks will have more tracks, better tracks, and we can, promote the racing that we have. Because if we don't have racing, we can't promote it to anything. We can't show how cool it is if we don't have, who wants to come watch, 40 inches on a club day? Like, it's not exciting. We need to have, I know when I started racing at LSR, our old track, indoor track here that closed, it was 140 entries on a club day on a Friday night. Like, you don't see that anymore. Some tracks get it, but not around here. Like, we haven't seen it in a long time. And so I think the next level would be, club racing coming back, getting this out to more kids, more families. That's step one, I think. After that, I'm not sure where it would go, but I think that's the start of it.
Sure. And I know one of the things, and this is, pipe dream for Scale Labs, but one of the things that everybody's going to get a peek inside my brain here. And like I said, nothing's happening right now. Nothing's happening in the next probably 5 years with this. But one of my passion projects that I'm really trying to lay out and build upon with Scale Labs and with the name and everything we're doing and all that stuff, I think there is incredible opportunity, like what you just said, with kids and families through STEM and through education.
Yep.
So I think that it's Scale Labs' place almost in the hobby and in our sport too. At some point, I want to even try to get to where we are doing like a curriculum and be able to get that into schools, and then where we can work with, like a low-C sprint car, for example. I would love to get a purpose-built car to make it more understanding, but I want to go as far as I want to pull back the onion to where we have a varsity and junior varsity
Race
team
team.
for
That's
kids,
cool. Yeah.
and then try to get a track together, centrally located with, in our county where there's, 5 different large high schools. And then you get a team together, and then you have JV, and then you get kids that make it up to varsity. And then you're teaching kids, right? You're teaching kids where you can, number one, you're teaching kids how to assemble and how, you're doing material sciences and material properties. And you could even have it to where you leave one part out of the kit, to where, okay, that now it's your job throughout this semester of school or whatever, as a group, you have to make these parts for everybody. So then you're learning small bits about production and how to manage that and all of that. And then all the way down to, and then when you go to the racetrack, number one, you're racing what you built. So there's a sense of pride behind that, right?
Yep.
But also you're learning individual skill sets as far as how to be a winner or how to be defeated or how to get beat as an individual. And then in the same breath, you can do individual points. And in the same breath, your performance can affect a team. So it's just like how like a golf structure is, and like how high school golf is scored, or high school wrestling or whatever. You have an individual statistic and then a team statistic.
Yeah,
man, I've really, really put an astronomical amount of thought into it, and it's something that I want to pursue long term. But I think it's something that could be unbelievable for the hobby, and I think it could get kids in at a younger age and get them all the way up through and keep them through high school, and then all the way down to, you get a high school senior that's been a part of the motorsports program there now. And, through our curriculum, hey, you have a guaranteed, at minimum, you have a guaranteed either an apprenticeship or internship or even an interview, whatever, with the local IndyCar teams that are here, or the local IMSA teams, and you can show real hands-on aptitude and skill at 1/10 the scale. So I think it would be really, really cool. And that's something that, please nobody take that idea, because I am working on it, but that is something that I think would be incredible.
I think that'd be good too, because I'm just thinking of that from like, as a track owner standpoint, I don't have time to like do any of that stuff. Like I would love to like have, we've had a booth at we're at a fairgrounds, right? So last year, a year and a half ago, we had a fair, and we had a booth there, and we had a tri-meet track in the fair in one of the buildings. And so we had SR10s from Team Associated. We had 6 of them. We had a little oval track on like the concrete floor, and kids can come drive them and stuff. And it took, 4 or 5 of us to like man that booth for 3 days. And that was a lot of effort. We didn't get anything out of it. Like no one came to the track and really, but it was cool to expose the hobby and expose the RC thing. But, from my standpoint, what you just said, I mean, like, I don't have time to do any of that. I would love to. So if you, had an organization to do that, and you had like a network of tracks that were like affiliated with that, program that they could go like, run their cars at, or run their, test their stuff at, whatever, that would be, awesome, because that's like an easy way to get people to the tracks. It gives back to the tracks. It helps the tracks, and the tracks can help you by supporting your program, because you don't want to build a track for them to do it at. So that'd be, that'd be cool.
Okay, it's like First Robotics meets like a golf team. Like I said, it's kind of smash that together, and then you have racing involved. We've talked about your personal accomplishments. We've talked about your track and all that, but I want to go back to you for a minute. Why RC racing?
I don't know. It's became a way of life now. I mean, we started, so backstory a long time ago, how I got into RC. I've had RC cars my whole life as like toys and stuff. We were in a really bad car accident. I forget what year it was, but like when I was a kid. And so we were looking for something to do, because I was like, had a broken leg and I couldn't do anything, and I couldn't do sports in school. So we went to the local hobby store, and we wanted to check it out, see what they had. And the guy that was working there happened to be a racer, and he sold me a Traxxas Slash. He's like, hey, there's a track in Roseville to go race at called Speed World Raceway. It was a famous on-road track. And like, we raced these on Friday nights. We put jumps on the on-road track, and we raced off-road slashes. Like, okay, sounds cool. So I bought a car. 2 days later, went off the track and raced. And from then on, it's honestly, the rest is history. I've been racing ever since that day. And the funny thing is, I still talk to the people that I met that first day. And they're some of my best RC friends we have, and they feel like family, because they're still racing with us, And so that's where it started. And there's nothing more to it, except for that I got hooked on it. My dad got hooked on it. The people that race are awesome. The community is awesome. People like you and everybody everybody is just, if you race RC cars, you're part of the family. No questions asked. Like, you can go to any track and you walk in a building and you're welcomed, and people, you're sharing the same interest, and it's RC cars, and, it's just awesome to be a part of, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you. I appreciate it. One of my last questions before we get into, kind of ending, wrapping up here. If you could change one thing about our hobby, what would you change?
You don't want my answer. Some of the people, honestly, like the people like I said before, like it takes one bad person right for everybody. Like all the drama, all the stuff in RC needs to just go away. It never will. But that's the worst thing for a hobby. And especially like as a racer, I used to see it. I used to think it was like cool to like know all the drama and kind of be a part of it. Like you think, oh, this guy did this. Everyone does it, right? It's just the nature of the beast. But that is the biggest thing that hurts our hobby is all the drama, all the talking on social media and the bashing and this and that. It's just not good. And now that I'm a track owner and we deal with it, like it's the people, I say people, most people are awesome. Most people that come to our track, we love to see them. They're great racers, they're great for the hobby. They're there, but it takes, a lot of energy to deal with a couple of bad ones that come around. And I think that if everybody would just kind of understand the whole business side of RC, even the manufacturers, like I know they're making money, but it's a tough little niche industry we have, you know? And like I was talking with Chris at Velocity, for example, not too much detail, but like he's even saying like this is a big investment to not know if it's going to work or not. He's going full time Velocity and he doesn't know if it's going to work. I mean, it really, and everyone that I've talked to is like, when's the car coming? When's the car coming out? Well, it's a kind of a one man show right now. So, but long story short, the people make it very difficult sometimes. Like I said before, like clean up your trash and the way they act at the track and, just that kind of stuff. If that single issue was fixed for me, it would make life way easier. It would just some days my dad and I come from the track and it's like we had a good race day, good this, but like one bad thing happened and it's like we're borderline like not gonna open the track again. Like we have came home and been so like over it, like all the work we just put in, and then somebody acts like they did. Like we just want to get rid of the track. And, not to scare anybody or say anything, but like we're on a year-to-year lease. So like it could just go away with no questions asked end of the year. Like it'd be simple. And I hate to say it because I would never do that. I would hope to never do that. But that's kind of how you feel sometimes. And it's like the people are our own worst enemy. I've done some things not very often, but at races that probably shouldn't do, get mad in the driver's stand or whatever. But even that stuff is like, I know it's in the moment and it happens, but it's just the stuff we don't need in the hobby. Especially as you said, like you get more kids in here, get more families, and we're trying to make this be a family atmosphere. And then it ruins it. If you get a mom and a dad come with their, 10-year-old son, they don't want to be around guys up there yelling and, out there partying or whatever. We want to have a nice family atmosphere so people come enjoy. And so I think that's the biggest thing. If that stuff was gone, I think we could get to that more kids, more families, more. I think it starts at the very bottom. Back it up to basics and figure out where the issue lies of why do we not have these people at our tracks, Because we're here all the time and honestly since the off-road tracks open at Auburn, we've had a lot of families come through there. I've sold probably like Associated has that SC10 RTR truck. I've sold probably 8 of those in the last couple weeks and I've sold probably 14 SC7s off the shelf, all short course trucks, But a lot of those are going to kids. Like I've had almost a full heat of rookies last week racing, which is awesome, but to keep those kids around, we got to do our part and keep everything rolling as it should. And that's my opinion. I mean, I don't see much wrong with the industry as far as like cars and, tires. And I mean, all that stuff is what it is. It all works. The part that's, the part that makes it work is the people, the racers. They got to do their job all around, get to the races, support your track, buy from your hobby store, all that stuff to make a difference. And then, act right, do the right thing at the track.
Absolutely. So you just said right there, racers. Another really big piece, one of our largest pieces or one of our most successful pieces of content on this channel so far has been when I posed the question, I think it was with Tyler Keel. TK said that this is a sport. I know you've mentioned the word sport a couple times in our conversation. Give us your opinion or give us your statement. Is RC car racing a hobby or is it a sport?
I think it could be both. I think, to some of us it's a sport. Like I've been on the entry level, I would call out like a hobby. If you're coming out for the weekend and coming to play with your RC car and just race and have fun, like I would say you're a hobbyist, But if you're up at the track, competing to win and spending money and all that stuff, I would call it a sport. Like I've been a paid driver for a couple years. Some guys don't know that, but I was, when I was in winning a lot of races and stuff, I was getting paid to race. And to me, it was a sport. It was I wasn't making full wages off it, but there was something coming in and it was a sport to me. And still it's when I go to race Chili Bowl and whatnot, it's a sport. Like I'm there to race. Like most people know me is calm, cool, collected, but I've been told like when I'm at Chili Bowl, like I'm zoned in and I'm I'm there to race, just like any other race that I go to. Like I'm there to win, and to me, it's a sport. I don't go spend thousands of dollars, whether it's my money or someone else's money or sponsor's money. I don't spend their money to go play. I have race cars, I have race equipment. This isn't, to me, it's not. I shouldn't say it's not for fun, but it's not just for fun. My fun is winning and competing. So to me, that makes it a sport. If you're out there, come to the track and you don't work on your car, you don't buy new tires, and you're out there to hang out with your buddies and go drive a little bit and practice, I'd say that's when you're in the hobby category. But that's my opinion.
And there are guys out there that are for sport too, for sure.
Yeah, I think Hooks mentioned that.
Poor Hooks got kind of drugged through the coals a little bit because he was, he hooked it and was significantly more blunt than you just were about he's not there to have fun. He's there to win. He's there to win races. Yeah. And you just said, I think, in my opinion, of what Tyler was trying to say, you just said it perfectly. Like, nicely. Yes, he's absolutely there for fun, but his fun is winning. His fun is competing. And maybe he didn't say it that way, but I'm pretty confident in saying, as much as the little bit that I've got to know him and talk to him, like, I'm pretty confident that's what he meant to say was exactly what you just said. And that's one thing, obviously you and I have never met other than this encounter right here, but that's one thing that I already love about you is I can tell you're a cool, calm, collected guy, but I can see once you get into the conversation and you're really passionate about it, how intense you get. And I really respect and appreciate that level of intensity you've got about it. So I understand where you're coming from completely.
Yeah, I mean, like when I go to a race, so go back to your question earlier. You said, "Why do I race a lot?" Right? And I say no. Well, one of the reasons is because when I want to go race, I want to race. I don't want to be distracted. Right? When I go to Chili Bowl, I'm there. I was there with Doug and the Velocity team, and literally for Monday to Saturday, my one job was to race. Nothing else in the world mattered. I didn't care about my track. I didn't care about work. I didn't care about emails or nothing. I was there to race, and so that's how. When I race, I want to focus. I want to do the best that I can. I don't like to just go, oh, here, charge my car for me, then I'll have it ready for you to drive. Like I don't enjoy that. I like the working on it and getting faster. You know what I'm saying? Like I like to be hands-on. I like to focus on the whole thing. So, when I race, I'm there to race. I don't care what it takes to win. If I have to, whatever it takes, how it is. Like we go through tires or we do this to our cars or whatever, I'll do it. I want to win. So kind of going back to that, where at home, at my track, do I race a lot? No, I don't, because I'm so busy that I really can't, not that I can't enjoy racing, but I can't enjoy racing how I would like it. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. So give us a little bit of insight on what your bench looks like there at home. Like obviously you're busy and you're taken away with, the day job of you and your dad having the contracting business, and then you have Auburn RC to take care of as well. But when you do go out and you do race and you are trying to do it at that sporting level, like we just talked about, what kind of commitment and what kind of time is it taking, or are you putting into your program to be ready to go, whether that be off-road or oval when it is time for you to race?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely if I'm gonna go race, my evenings every night would be working on something. Like I'm always tinkering on something, or I got 3D printers here and I play with stuff. And like right now, I will say, if Chris is gonna watch this, Chris Baumgartner, I have a gas truck on my workbench, so he'll know what that means. But we've been gas trucking up at Auburn. He hates it, but it's gonna be the biggest class here pretty soon, I hope. So, anyways, but yeah, so I'm into meticulous. I like cleaning. I like clean cars. I like clean wiring. I like my cars look nice, and I do vinyl and stickers, so I gotta keep that stuff fresh. But I'm I don't ever thrash on stuff. Like I'm not like a last minuter. Like if I'm gonna go race next weekend, I'll start working weekend before my car. So I'm always kind of a week ahead, I feel like. So I like to prep. I like to be prepared. I don't like to go to the track not ready. Like I've not gone to races local races because I'm just not ready for it. Like I don't need to just go there to go there. I want to go there and win, like I said. So if I'm not able to do that, I don't feel like I should waste the resources to do so. I'm not going to travel across the country and then not work on my car before I go. Like that's just not going to happen.
Absolutely. No, I get that totally. All right, man. Well, I've had you for about an hour here. You have listened to several episodes. So we have 4 questions that I ask every guest at the end of every episode.
Okay.
Question number 1 is specifically on your oval stuff. You are the number 5C. Why is that?
All right. So here's the backstory. So when I first started racing with that Traxxas Slash I mentioned, I was going to the track for probably 2 or 3 months. Like my first month was kind of rough. I had to get the get the feelers out. But second, third month, I was like, we had I forget the name of the class. It was like slash, but you had to use the brush motors, the Titan motors.
Mhm.
And so like for a long time, I was finishing fifth in every single race. Like I couldn't do better than fifth. Like it was like, fast guys and nothing's better than fifth. So like it was like for 3 months, like I went there every week and I finished fifth. So then we bought a SE10 and then started winning after that because the car was better. But with the slash, it was fifth. So then when the oval stuff started, a lot of guys think that's because of Kyle Larson, because I'm Kyle Layton, Kyle Larson. But no, it's because when I first started, that was my car number on my slash because I always finished fifth. So that's kind of been my RC thing, because like when I make a username for an RC account, it's always like, a number 5 on it. I don't know, just kind of the way I've been doing it. So that's where it stuck. And the C stands for Cheetah Racing. That's kind of like my, say, legacy brand that I've been a part of. We started that a long time ago with tire sauces and stuff. And now it's like vinyl and sticker stuff that I do. So that just kind of signifies the Cheetah Racing. But that's the backstory. So no, it's not Kyle Larson. It's a little bit different.
Awesome. Love that. Okay, so next question is, what is one tech tip or piece of knowledge that you feel every racer should know?
Okay, so I guess it'd be like more like a piece of advice for actual cars. I think the most important thing on a car, one of the most important things, is shocks. If your shocks aren't right, like freed up, moving, your car is not going to work. I've been at our track so many times, and guys running oval, especially, will be like, my car doesn't have any grip, or it's driving funny, or doing weird stuff, and I'll like feel their shock, and their shocks like take the spring off and like doesn't move. There's dirt in there, the O-rings are bad, and you're like, okay, well, you're trying to preload your springs and scale your car, and it's just not moving. So I would say my first thing when I check someone's car now is that I check their shocks for like blown out O-rings or expanded O-rings, make sure the shocks are full, make sure everything's clean and free, lubed up, and it's all good to go. Because without that, you're not gonna, second to tires, obviously tires are important, but if your shocks don't function properly, you are gonna have a very bad day. And I've actually taken some guys' cars and I've done their shocks for them, and like they didn't believe me they would be better, and I put them back on their car, and their car instantly, like, night and day difference. So there's my tech tip. Make sure your shocks are right. Make sure you have fresh O-rings in there and get them built properly, bled properly. If you're using, bleeder shocks. I think a lot of oval guys use bladder shocks still. Is that a thing?
Bladder's big. I got drugged through the coals because I said I like emulsion shocks. But yeah, bladders now bladders.
So you're using bladder
jam.
shocks?
Yeah. Yep. I prefer emulsion. I prefer emulsion myself, the bleeders.
So why don't you use those?
I have both.
Okay.
I got tired of listening to Dustin Malacote talk crap on me about, or not on me, to me. He always gives me a hard time every time he sees my emulsion shocks. So I
just reply with the fact that I'm an off-road guy, so we use emulsion shocks.
Perfect. Maybe that's what I should do. That's what I should do too. But yeah, so I have both, and honestly, I have went more to the bladder stuff lately. I do feel like I have a little bit more control of the car with emulsion shocks, but I do think I think you naturally have a more consistent car over the course of a race event.
Yeah,
with bladders. So.
Yeah, a lot of guys don't know the whole shock bleeding, and I guess they could watch some YouTube videos, but.
Yeah. So we do a wrenching Wednesday every Wednesday, and that's been one of the where go live on YouTube and Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one of the things we've touched on a couple times now has been shocks, and I've really tried to help everybody the best I can with it. We probably should actually have a couple more episodes of just make sure people catch it. Question number 3 is, what is one RC race every racer should go to?
Well, I already said that I really like the Chili Bowl. Obviously, that's what everyone's answer is going to be. I see. For an oval race, that is the oval race that everyone should go to. You should come out to Auburn RC, though. That should be the one you should come out to, the J Concepts Oval Nationals. September 18th, 19th this year is when it's going to happen. Won't be so hot. Honestly, that's an awesome event. Like, I know a lot of guys I've talked to when I travel out back east into the Midwest and stuff. I talk to them like, yeah, we want to come out, and everyone that's a couple guys that came, like JB came out for the first time last year. Hooks came out, for the first time when the first race happened, and they were very, very surprised about like how the track races and how the track behaves. It's just it's like no other track I've been to. Like I've been to the Battlegrounds race in Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
I went there last year with the VS2 again. That was a high bite race, but it's nothing like we have. I don't know how to explain it, but the track is just so. It's awesome, honestly. Like I've been to a lot of tracks, off-road, oval, and something about the track at Auburn is like kind of special. Maybe because I'm there all the time and I see it, but people really would not be disappointed to come race on it.
Awesome. Yeah, I know every time JB and I talk, and we talk quite a bit, he's the conversation always ends up somehow about how I need to go with him out to California.
Yeah, I know Austin came out last year too with him, and like Austin rolled up and he's like, "Man, this thing looks so awesome" or something. And he's like, "The picture didn't do it justice." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's." He's like, "That's crazy. It's got banking and it's just yeah." But
Love
I
it.
will say the one race that I would say if it was still around to go to would be the Reedy race for off road. If it was still around, that was my favorite off road race I've ever been to. The Swatch the Invite guys, and I was in the open class and did pretty well there too for a couple years, and that was an awesome, somewhat a chili bowl. How it's not just like a race, it's like a whole event. It's like a spectacle. That's what I like about some of the races that we go to.
Absolutely. And if for anybody who's listening, there is, I believe it's either 5051 or 5150 Productions on YouTube. Has some amazing, I believe his name's Corey. He has some fantastic like documentaries about the Reedy race, and he's went and done a ton of different races. And I believe Mike Garrison, who does the stickers.
Yeah, Boom RC. Yeah.
Boom RC. Yep. Mike Garrison does he narrates everything for it. So it's incredible. So if anybody needs something to do or go to watch, I believe it's 5150 Productions. Definitely go and check that out. To what Kyle just said about the Reedy race. It's an incredible, I'll make sure we link it in the show notes too, but it's an incredible video for sure.
Some people were asking about like if they ever come back. I don't think you could bring it back. Like, I don't think that it was at OCRC and that track's gone now. I don't think you could really match the whole, like, you could do it again, but it wouldn't match the whole vibe of OCRC and what Nick and his dad had there. I don't think you could ever match that whole experience the way that it used to be.
Yeah.
I raced a lot of races there, like Stock Nats and Surf Cities, and every one of them from when I've been racing. I used to go there since 2014. It's my first race there, and yeah, I just don't think you could ever match that.
In full disclosure, like I haven't been to either one of these tracks that I'm about to say, but from all of the videos and research and stuff that I love about watching about OCRC, I think the closest thing we have to it in today's world is trackside in Wisconsin. The vibe that I get, or at least the vibe that I feel from watching those videos of OCRC, I think trackside really, indoor, the way the dirt and everything is and all that, like it seems to carry the same vibe. And maybe I'm completely wrong. I've never been to either one, and I really want to get up to trackside and go and race and do the oval and the off-road and all that stuff, but kind of a smaller, tighter track, same kind of deal too. So definitely, I don't know if you've had a chance to get up to trackside at all. You'd be a great comparison, but
I've not been there.
Yeah, that's definitely one I'd like to get to.
It's on my list.
On the bucket
get away
list.
From Auburn. If I could, take a weekend off, I would love to go do that. So that's maybe the talk for summertime. If things go well and I can find some people to help out run the place, I would love to get back and race again. It's just kind of getting off topic now, but to go race, I've been enjoying racing oval because the tracks are still like dirt. Like they're not sealed. Like for me to go travel to a glued track across the country, I have one 2 hours away from me in Reno. Like I don't. Not that I don't enjoy traveling and racing, but it just makes it less enticing to spend the time and money for this, the same surface. So oval racing, I like that because I haven't been to a track that's been the same as another one yet. BB mods, PTs, Chili Bowl, for example, like they're all different. They're all similar, but they're all different.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's I really want to go to like Ron John's down in, I believe that's Florida.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
There's some really cool. I mean, that's what's so cool about our hobby. It really stretches from coast to coast, and there's not too many things that people can do where you can catch or you can go and race just about anywhere. And I think that's a really special thing about what we do.
Yeah.
But, all right, cool, man. Well, we got one last question then for you is, can you give me 3 people who you think should be the next guests on the podcast?
Ooh, man, that's a tough one. The bad thing is like I'm so far down the list on the number of interviews here that a couple of the ones I would have picked have already been on here.
We've been so fortunate to have some really awesome, and obviously you're one of them, but it's been really cool. Some of the cool guests.
I think, I know it's for on the oval side, you definitely got to try to get Rippy on here. I know he's kind of been MIA with some stuff going on, but he's been part of the Velocity team. Obviously, he's one of the owners of it with Chris, and they've been awesome. And I was actually talking to Rippy a couple weeks ago about the VS, and we were talking about Keel and stuff and like who the original like team was, and he was telling me that like I raced at Auburn back in like 20. Do you remember the Gold Cup they had at Chico? Scotty came out here to
Yes.
A-Main Hobbies. Yeah, so I raced. That was my first oval race, was that race. I ran
Okay.
a custom works car that somebody built for me. Long story short, I got back. I raced at Auburn a few times, and I was like, I want to get like a different car. I want to like, I'm an off-road guy. I want like a conversion car. And I had just seen Keel post a picture of his VSA on Facebook. And I messaged him. I'm like, hey, what is that? I want to get one. And so then Rippy, like out of the blue, messaged me because I remember I met him at Smack Track when he owned Smack Track. I went to their JC race years ago. And so I guess what Rippy told me was like, I was one of the first ones, me and Keel were one of the first ones with it. We're on like the official like Velocity team, aside from their other buddies that had cars, so it's kind of cool to like be a part of. And I've been with them since then, running their cars and the VSA platform for the last, 5 years, and now the VS2. So I think he would have some cool insights on the hobby because he was a track owner and he was a, successful racer, back in the day. And then now he's still racing and fast and helps out all the team guys and runs oval. And I think he'd be a good pick. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I got to pick two more. Oh man, that's a tough one. I don't know if he'd do it. I think he would. I think you could get the owner of J Concepts on here. That'd be a good one because he's
Jason.
Yeah, I think Jason would be good. I did a podcast with him and Gotti, a Radio Impound podcast years ago. And I just watched recently because I was coming on here, so I wanted to watch that one. And we talked about the whole Traxxas Slash as like the entry-level car thing. And they were all laughing because like that was, I think, one of theirs too. But I think Jason would be cool because he's been through the whole oval. I want to say like oval wasn't that popular years ago, I feel like. Like I just learned about it. It just got popular recently. In the last, 5-6 years, I feel like. Like I never used to see oval racing be a big thing. So I think, as a manufacturer of parts and tires and stuff, he had to keep up with that, demand. And now he has a spec tire at Chili Bowl. And I think that'd be a cool thing to hear from him and how, how he thinks the industry is going and all that stuff. I think that'd be some cool information.
Absolutely.
Man, the third one, that's gonna be a tough one. I don't know a third one. You need to find like an off-road guy and see what they think of oval, like a I don't know.
I suspect as we continue going and as if this continues on the same growth trajectory that we're currently on, I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to stay oval specific because there's just too many damn awesome people to talk to.
There is. Yeah.
That's both oval and off-road to where we're going to have to talk about off-road at some point, even more than what we have. And I personally enjoy both and love both. I don't know if we're going to be oval forever or not, and I can't predict the future, but I definitely could see going both ways for sure.
Yeah, I mean somebody like big time in the off-road would be cool. Like and I'm thinking like a BT or somebody like that. Like doesn't even really know much about oval, but I'm sure he has to deal with it at times. Like he has a lot of team guys that run both. So like I've run both obviously, and I'm on part of Associated and Velocity, and TK is a team manager and on Velocity. Somebody like him would be kind of interesting, but yeah.
So I know you've referenced BT a couple times. Tell everybody who BT is so that some people may not know the initials.
He is the Associated team manager, Brent Tilke. Yep. He's like, Spencer, guy that goes to like Spencer and all those guys. He's like the big boss of Associated for the team. He'd be a good one. I think if you wanted some off-road insights and some, maybe I don't know how much he follows oval. I know when, I haven't really talked to him a whole lot about oval lately, but I know he asked me about it a few times and asked about my cars and stuff. We check in, but nothing real. He doesn't follow it. He's probably too busy with 8 scale and 10 scale off-road stuff. I know when I got the track built, he sent me a message and was pretty excited and seemed supportive of that. So that was cool.
Awesome. Heck yeah, man. Well, about an hour and a half here, Kyle. I appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, anytime.
This has been awesome. I can't tell a lot of you early episode guys. I'm sure once we continue going down the road, I cannot wait to have a lot of you guys back on and get a few more years under Auburn's belt, and we can come back and talk about that. And then I'm sure you're going to have some crazy
like an
races.
Anniversary podcast.
Absolutely,
like an
that'd be cool.
Like a Valentine's Day anniversary podcast.
There you go. You should be lucky number. Your episode's going to be lucky number 13 here. Oh, cool. So maybe we'll do like 23 or 33 or something. We'll have you back on, and we'll keep it with the 3 theme. That'd be pretty badass.
There you go. Not number 5. I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah, we'll wait until 55. We'll just 55. Have to get a bunch of in between. 55 we'll have to do.
You better get to work.
Yeah, no kidding. I was funny enough. I was looking at some statistics of like just podcasting in general. Mm-hmm. I think it was a crazy statistic. 90% of all people who start podcasts don't make it to, or 90% of those podcasts that start don't make it to episode 10. And then the 90% of that 90% never make it to episode 30.
Wow. Well, you're almost halfway
So like
there.
I'm really pushing to get past, it feels like if I can get past 30, at least statistically, we've got a pretty good chance of success.
Well, you have plenty of people, awesome people to go after. So I think you're going to be okay as long as, the content's awesome. Like I've been watching them and it's like, I really enjoy watching your podcasts and videos and stuff. It's awesome.
Cool, man. Well, that means more than you know. So I appreciate that. But yeah, I kind of alluded to it a little bit on our Wrench Wednesday last week, but we have the schedule for people coming on. I've got 2 NASCAR drivers, some NASCAR crew chiefs that are in RC, some track owners, some people who own or are a part of businesses within the hobby as well. So the list just keeps growing, and honestly, it's hard to just fit everybody in and get everybody's schedules all together to make it all happen.
Yeah,
but it's incredible. I have absolutely no understanding of how this all happened or how it's grown the way that it has, but whatever's happening, man, I'm so thankful, and I get to meet guys like you. Typically have good, at least working relationship, or I have access to people that are just such great human beings and such great dudes. So, and you're nothing short of that yourself. So I appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
I know everybody listening appreciates it so much, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you're doing for our hobby, and thank you for all you've done and all you absolutely will do. Your work is seen, your work is appreciated. I'm sure it means the world to a lot of people there in California to have a place to race every week.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I just thank everyone for helping out with us, our track, and racing with us. It's awesome. Like we, having these big turnouts and stuff. It's like I can never ask for anything better. Like just come race until we ask for. Come enjoy the place with us. We built it, and keep maintaining and improving. So, just come enjoy it and race while we can, I'm going to keep it there as long as we can, but, it's like nothing's forever, and we never know. Like we're on a fairgrounds and we never know when it's going to just be, out the door, and it's hard to deal with sometimes, and we have our issues, back and forth with them sometimes, but we just keep plugging along. So everyone's understanding is appreciated on things we got going, and just, yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, man. All right, everybody. My name's Sam Johnson. This has been the Scale Labs RC podcast. That's Kyle Layton, and I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you all for listening, and we will see you guys on the next one.